Alright, what's good everybody? We are going to cover one of my favorite features in Data Studio, and that is the drill down feature. This feature allows users to drill down or up, or you could say zoom in or out of your data. We often deal with data sets that either have a hierarchy or have a structure with categories and subcategories. Examples might include geographical or location data. If you want to take a look at your users and where your users are coming from, your data might be structured according to continent, subcontinent or country, and then region or state, and finally going down into city and maybe even zip code. Another example is website structure. So most websites have a structure or an information architecture that includes directories and subdirectories. So a website might have several topics or several big categories that would be the equivalent of a directory. So these are folders, or these might appear in the menu of the website, and underneath those directories, underneath those categories, might be subdirectories or subcategories. So that drills down into another layer of those categories. If you're analyzing data for attributes or dimensions, you'll usually want to drill down or zoom out of your data. And Google Analytics lends itself well to this kind of analysis. If you look in GA itself, there are a lot of reports that allow you to drill down. So for example, in this geolocation report, we're looking at countries here, and if we want, we can drill down into various countries. So if we click on United States, we can see the region, and we can drill down even further into these regions to look at cities. You can see all this data, all these metrics each time you drill down. Now, the drill down feature in Data Studio is great because if you're creating a report for an audience that doesn't have access to GA, or they're not comfortable with using GA, then it allows them to drill down into the data. They can dig into more granular data, and you don't have to create multiple widgets, charts, or tables. So you don't have to create a table for country, you don't have to create a separate table for city, and so on and so forth. You can use this feature if you're reporting on traffic acquisition channels, event tracking, and even your e-commerce data if you want to look at specific brands, product lines, and specific products. There are other use cases as well, but let's go through configuring the drill down feature for charts and tables. Keep in mind that not all elements in Data Studio will allow you to enable the drill down feature. When you're configuring your chart or table, there's an indicator that'll tell you whether you can enable drill down. So for example, this geo chart here allows us the option to use the drill down feature. Tables, you can actually mix and match various dimensions for drill down use. So for example, instead of all these geolocation dimensions, you can actually add a dimension like device category. But for elements such as these scorecards, it doesn't give us the option to use drill down. Let's work through creating some of these charts and tables with the drill down feature. We'll start off by recreating this map chart and then a table for browser and browser versions, because you want to create an experience for your audience that's most optimal for the browser and browser versions that they're using. So for example, if most of them are using an older version of a certain browser and you create this web experience that uses newer technology, their older browsers might not render the content or render the elements on the website, on your web page properly. So it might just not work for them. So you want to be cognizant of the technology that your audience is using. So I'm going to actually create this from scratch so you can see how we can do this. So I'll name this section Browser Breakdown. In this chart, I'm going to delete this table here, and I'm going to click on Add a Chart and choose GeoChart, and then place it here in this section. Wait for that to load. Move it over a bit. And we'll look at the chart settings here. So if we look under the geo settings or the geo dimension settings, the dimension that it's using is continent. And there's an option here for drill down. So we'll slide that toggle over, and it automatically gives you some dimensions that suit or that fall under the geo dimension here. So we can add another dimension for region, and we'll place that above city. So if you're in the US, that'll give you states. And then we'll look at the metric here for page views, and we'll change that to users. So scroll down, find users, select that. And now that's all set. We can change the color if we want, but we can leave it for now, and we'll add another item here, and this time we'll select a table. So for this table, we'll create the size, wait for it to load, and instead of continent for the dimension, we'll look for browser. Enable the drill down feature, click on Add Dimension, and this time search for browser version. So you have users. You can use a metric like unique page views. So once that loads, you can see all the data populate, and let's take a look at this in action. So if we engage with this map here, you can click the down arrow and it will drill down into the countries. So you hover over the subcontinent, which was the next, or which was the level, the dimension below continent. So if you actually hover over some of these other areas here, you can see South America, Central America as these subcontinent regions. But another way you can drill down is by right-clicking on an area, and you can either drill up, reset, or continue drilling down. So let's do that. So then it breaks down the map by countries, and you can hover over and see the breakdown for each country. So you can see for the US, that's where the most of the traffic comes from, and there's actually a decent amount of traffic from India as well. And it's difficult to see, but with this chart, there's this icon here that allows you to reset as well. But before that, we'll just drill up so we can see how that works. And it goes back to the previous level of dimension that we were looking at. Let's just click reset, and it resets everything to what it was initially. Now for the browser table, there are a few ways that you can drill down into the browsers here. One is you can drill down into all the browser versions for each line item in this table as a whole. So if you drill down this way, it'll just give you a list of all the browser versions, but it won't give you which browser it's associated with. Now this might be applicable to some other dimensions, but I'll just show you how this works. So you can do this by simply clicking on the down arrow, and it'll give you all the different browser versions and the number of page views, the number of unique page views for each. So let's just remember this number. The fourth row, the browser version is 14.1.2. And if we drill back up, what you can do is right click on the table, anywhere on the table, and just click drill down. And it gives us the same drill down table that we were just looking at when we clicked the down arrow. So here's our fourth row, our fourth line item here, 14.1.2. Now, if you only want to drill down into one of these browsers or one of these line items, what you have to do is select that line item so that it's highlighted here, and then you can either click the down arrow, and so you can see that 14.1.2 is removed, and it only gives us these browser versions that start with 90 something, 80 something, 70 something, and you can drill back up. So that was how you can drill down, by clicking on the down arrow, but you can also right click on this line item once it's highlighted and select drill down so that it'll give you the same data. So we're just going to reset that table. And the other way you can drill down into this table is by clicking on the three dots here. So you can select drill down from this menu as well. And this is available for the chart as well. Now what I want to do is show you the default dimension that it starts with. So whenever you press reset, then it'll go back to this default drill down level. So for this chart, the default drill down level is continent. If you remember when we clicked on reset, it just reset the chart to show the metrics, the number of users at the continent level. And it works the same for tables as well. So right now, the default drill down level for this browser table is in fact browser, but you can also set the default drill down level to something other than the top dimension which you have. So for example, if we click on this map chart, we can set the default drill down level to country if we wanted to. So then whenever you reset this chart, it'll show the number of users at the country level. The next table we'll create is for campaigns and traffic acquisition. So let's edit this and we'll change this section here. So let's delete this chart. We can change this to say, how do your users arrive on your website? And for this table, we'll click on data. Instead of search term, we'll change that to campaign. Choose campaign, enable drill down, add a dimension for, let's use default channel grouping. You can also use something like medium. And after that, we'll choose source, scroll down under traffic sources, and then for page views, you can change page views to unique page views so you can get a sense of how many users are coming in through each campaign. And we'll actually add one more dimension for landing page so we can see what landing pages users are arriving on. Let's increase the height of this table. Increase the column width for campaign. Go to style and select wrap text so that the header for unique page views will spill into the next row. And we can still see our campaign names clearly. And then we'll change the title for this section to campaign breakdown. And we can see how this works. So let's drill down into campaign or drill down into default channel grouping. We can see all the channels here and the traffic that it brings. So most of the traffic is arriving from direct. So either the users are typing in the website URL or they have it bookmarked, or Google doesn't know what the source, what the medium, what the channel grouping actually is. So by default, it'll place that under direct. Let's dig into this data share promo campaign. So we'll select it, right click, and select drop down. Okay, affiliates is the only default channel grouping, so let's drill down into that. Partners, that's the only source that we have, and we'll drill down into that so we can see all of the landing pages. You can also enable drill down for charts and tables that use event dimension data. So that includes event category, event action, and event label. You can apply it to page path levels. So if you want to drill down into different directories and subdirectories, see which areas of your website are the most popular, you can drill down into that. So for example, for the first page path level for Google redesign, let's select that and we can drill down there and we can see the subdirectories under the Google redesign directory. And we can keep drilling down into apparel or some of these other subdirectories. So we can see all the page views for each of these page path levels. If you have e-commerce or enhanced e-commerce tracking, you can drill down into your e-commerce data. Let's set one of these tables up. So instead of these dimensions, we'll change them around and we'll select product category. Now this will only work with product category enhanced e-commerce for this specific GA demo account. You have to check how yours is set up. Then we'll change the second dimension to product brand. And the third dimension we'll keep as product, but for the metric, let's change that to product revenue. Again, you'll have to check your configuration for e-commerce tracking. It may be different than the way this GA demo account is set up. And for the column widths, let's adjust these a bit and go into style. So we can select wrap text for the headers so that we can actually read them. We can increase the height, and we'll scroll down to adjust the columns. So for the metric column number, for decimal precision, let's change that to 2 so that it gives us some nice clean data there. And we'll take a look at how this table works. So we can drill down into the apparels and take a look at the brands that are available in the apparel section. We can take a look at the Google brand and see what kind of products are being sold. So you can see the most popular products being sold for Google branded apparel. So to review, some of the dimensions that can use the drill down feature in Data Studio include geographical dimensions, browser dimensions, operating system dimensions, traffic acquisition channels, page path, page dimensions, event dimensions, and e-commerce dimensions. Hope you found this video useful. We'll see you in the next one.